Action is the only language the world respects. Listen carefully, because this is the truth no one wants to admit. The world doesn't care about your potential. It doesn't care about your ideas, your dreams, your intelligence, or the story you keep telling yourself about why you haven't moved yet. The world only speaks one language: action. Every second you sit still, the world moves forward without you. Every hesitation, every "I'll start tomorrow," every moment you drown in overthinking, someone else out there is taking the shot you were too afraid to take. Someone hungrier, someone colder, someone willing to bleed for what you keep wishing for. The world doesn't bow to intentions. It bows to execution. Stop telling people who you are. Stop announcing what you're going to do. Stop rehearsing greatness in your head while staying stagnant in your reality. You want respect? You want results? You want the life you keep dreaming about? Then move. Because here's the truth. Motion creates momentum, and momentum is the only god this world worships. You can't think your way into becoming who you want to be. You can't sit around manifesting while refusing to act. The battlefield doesn't reward the ones with plans. It rewards the ones who take the hill, no matter how brutal the climb. Action is the only language the world respects. Speak it fluently, or be forgotten. The power of defining your goals. But here's where most people fail. They hear the message about taking action, and they run headfirst into chaos. They burn out. They quit. Why? Because they don't know where they're going. Action without direction is noise. It's movement that leads nowhere. It's a soldier swinging his sword blindfolded, striking everything and hitting nothing. You want to make action count? Then you have to start with clarity. Define your goals with precision, not vague fantasies, not "I want to be successful," not "I want to make money." Write them down in blood. Make them sharp. Make them measurable. Make them so clear that when you wake up, you know exactly where to aim every ounce of energy you have. And when you know your target, something powerful happens. You unlock foresight. Foresight, the edge. Foresight isn't magic. It's not luck. It's the byproduct of clarity. When you know exactly what you want, the noise disappears. You stop wasting time on distractions that don't align with your mission. You stop entertaining people, habits, and thoughts that pull you off course. Suddenly, you can see the battlefield for what it is. You see the traps before they spring. You see the opportunities most people miss because they're too busy drifting without a compass. This is how warriors operate. Every step calculated. Every move deliberate. Not just reacting to life, but controlling the board, 3 moves ahead. That's the gift of goals. They don't just give you a destination. They sharpen your instincts, they build discipline, and they create a future you can almost touch. Action plus foresight equals power. Action alone makes you dangerous. Action combined with foresight makes you unstoppable. When you move with precision, every step compounds. Every decision builds momentum in the right direction. That's when you become lethal. Because you're not just moving fast, you're moving with intent. The world doesn't respect thoughts. It respects proof. It respects the trail of actions that lead to undeniable results. So stop overcomplicating it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop pretending you need more time. Take action now, but take it with clarity. Identify what you want, where you're going, and why it matters. Because when you do, the path ahead stops looking like chaos and starts looking like war plans. Step 1. Define the exact target. Before you can conquer anything, you must see it clearly. Not a vague dream, not some blurry image floating in your imagination, but a defined, tangible, and precise target. Most people fail right here. They never even get out of the gate because they're running toward nothing. They say, "I want to be successful." But what does that even mean? They say, "I want to be in shape." But they never specify what that looks like, what it feels like, what it takes. Vagueness is the graveyard where ambition goes to die. Clarity is the foundation of execution. Without it, your efforts scatter, your energy leaks, and every move you make feels heavy because you're chasing smoke instead of a solid destination. Precision turns dreams into targets. Imagine walking into a war zone with no coordinates, no map, no objective. You'd be wandering, hoping, getting lucky if you even made it out alive. That's exactly how most people live. Random, reactive, blind. But when you define your target with precision, everything changes. Suddenly you know what matters and what doesn't. You stop entertaining distractions because they don't align with the mission. Defining the exact target isn't just about what you want. It's about specifying it in a way that strips away confusion. Not, "I want to be wealthy," but, "I want $250,000 in net profit within the next 18 months through my business, with 3 streams of income scaling simultaneously." Not, "I want to lose weight," but, "I will cut my body fat to 12%, weigh 180 pounds, and maintain it through disciplined nutrition and 5 training sessions a week by this exact date." Not, "I want to grow my brand," but, "I want to build an online platform with 100,000 engaged followers, generating $10,000 per month in sales by the end of the year." Specificity sharpens the blade. The world doesn't respond to vague wishes. It responds to clear, measurable action. The power of tangibility. Your brain needs something real to lock onto. When you define your goal with tangible precision, you build a mental bullseye. That bullseye gives your subconscious a clear point of focus. And here's the truth. Your subconscious mind is a soldier. It follows orders without question. Give it vague commands, and it drifts aimlessly. Give it exact orders, and it begins scanning for patterns, opportunities, and connections to move you forward. This isn't magic. This is psychology. If you want to hit the target, you have to draw it first. Deadlines. Make the goal real. A goal without a deadline is a fantasy, a wish, a delusion you tell yourself to feel better about doing nothing. Attach a timeline to your target. The clock creates pressure, and pressure creates urgency. Urgency kills procrastination. I want to make 6 figures. Useless. I will earn $100,000 by December 31st of this year. Now you have something to chase, something to measure, something to hold yourself accountable to. Deadlines force you to act. They eliminate the luxury of waiting for the perfect moment, because you know the moment is now. Write it down. Every time. Writing your target solidifies it. It turns a thought into something real, something physical, something you can see and touch every single day. Tape it to your wall. Put it on the lock screen of your phone. Read it every morning and every night. Let it burn into your mind until your days and actions start aligning themselves with it. When you write it down, you're planting the flag. You're saying, "This is mine. This is non-negotiable. I will die on this hill if I have to." Why this step matters. Everything that follows, the reverse engineering, the milestones, the systems, the tracking, the adaptation, is meaningless without this step. Because here's the brutal truth. You cannot hit a target you refuse to aim at. And that's why most people never change. They drift. They live in someday. They avoid defining the target because the moment you define it, the clock starts ticking. Accountability is born. And that scares them more than failure. Don't be like them. Be ruthless about this step. Write down what you want. Make it sharp. Make it specific. Make it so clear that even in the darkest moments when your body wants to quit and your mind is screaming for comfort, you still know exactly what hill you're willing to die on. This is where discipline begins. With a target so sharp, it cuts through every excuse. Step 2. Reverse engineer the outcome. Once you've carved your goal into stone, sharp, precise, undeniable, the next step is to build the path backward from the finish line. This is where most people get paralyzed. They look at the mountain they want to climb and collapse under the weight of their own doubt. They stare at the distance between where they are and where they want to be, and all they see is chaos. But here's the truth. Chaos dies the moment you build a plan. Reverse engineering is how you destroy confusion. It's how you take something that feels impossible and break it down into a blueprint so clear that success stops being a matter of chance and becomes a matter of time. Visualize the finish line. Start at the end. See it. Feel it. Own it. Don't just imagine the vague version of success. Live in the specifics. If your goal is financial, what does the bank account balance say? What systems are in place? What habits got you there? If your goal is physical, what does your body look and feel like? What does your training look like day to day? Clarity fuels direction. The sharper the picture, the straighter the path. Close your eyes and see the version of yourself who has already won. Stand in their shoes. Look around. What's different? What habits are automatic? What decisions are effortless? That version of you isn't fiction. It's a blueprint. Trace it backward. Now start working from that finish line, step by brutal step, until you're back where you are right now. Want to build a 6-figure business in a year? Then reverse the math. $100,000 in 12 months is roughly $8,400 a month. That means $2,100 a week. That means $300 a day. What actions will generate that $300 today? What skills need to be sharpened? What systems need to be built to sustain and scale? This method transforms the impossible into a series of manageable checkpoints. It reveals the price you need to pay, daily, weekly, monthly, to earn what you say you want. Break it into phases. Every great mission is executed in phases. When you reverse engineer your goal, you'll start to see these natural stages form. Phase 1, foundation. Building the skills, systems, and habits that create momentum. Phase 2, execution. Stacking consistent, measurable results. Phase 3, expansion. Scaling and refining to reach the peak. When you think this way, progress becomes inevitable. Each phase becomes a non-negotiable step forward. No skipping, no shortcuts. Identify critical leverage points. Not all actions are equal. Some moves carry more weight than others. When you work backward, you'll start to see these leverage points. The actions that create exponential results. Maybe it's mastering a specific skill that sets you apart. Maybe it's investing more hours into marketing. Maybe it's refining your diet before worrying about supplements. Find the high-impact actions. Prioritize them. Build everything else around them. The illusion of confusion. Most people stay stuck because they think they don't know how. They think the path forward is some mystery locked away from them. It's not. When you start from the end and work backward, the steps reveal themselves. You realize the truth. The gap between you and your goal isn't made of luck or talent. It's made of consistent, deliberate action. Confusion isn't real. It's just clarity you haven't forced yourself to create yet. Own the blueprint. Once you've built the path, own it. Write it down. Make it simple enough that you can see it every morning and know exactly what needs to be done today. And then, this is critical, accept that there will be no shortcuts, no sudden moments of luck that will carry you to the finish line. The blueprint is nothing without execution. Reverse engineering gives you the map, but you still have to march. The warrior's edge. This is how killers operate, with foresight. They don't just hope they'll make it. They plan every step, every phase, every contingency. The difference between the dreamers and the finishers is this. Finishers build from the future back to the present. They don't wander forward hoping to find the path. They create the path. If you want to win with ruthless precision, you have to do the same. Start with the victory in hand. Trace the blood trail back to today, and then take the first step without hesitation. Because once you've reverse engineered the outcome, the only thing left is execution. Step 3. Break it into non-negotiable milestones. Once you've defined the target and reverse engineered the path, you can't stop there. A goal, even with a plan, can still crush you if you don't break it down into clear, non-negotiable milestones. Markers in the sand that guide you forward, no matter how brutal the storm becomes. Think of milestones as checkpoints in a war zone. They tell you exactly how far you've come, how far you still have to go, and whether you're still on the right path. Without them, the mission becomes overwhelming. The climb feels endless. That's why so many people quit halfway up the mountain. They can't see the summit, and they never gave themselves smaller summits to conquer along the way. Why? Milestones matter. Milestones turn your impossible into inevitable. When you stare at the full weight of your ultimate goal, your mind starts whispering, "It's too much. It'll take too long. Maybe you're not ready." That's weakness talking. That's fear creeping in. But when you break that massive goal into smaller, measurable victories, you give your mind something it can process, something it can chase today. And when you start stacking wins, momentum takes over. Success is never built in one massive leap. It's forged brick by brick, day by day, milestone by milestone. Precision over vagueness. The key here is specificity. A vague milestone is no better than a vague goal. Not, "I'll start making content." No, "I'll post one video every day for 30 days. Not, "I'll work on my business." No, "I will generate my first $1,000 in revenue within 30 days, $5,000 by 90 days, and $10,000 by the 6-month mark." Not, "I'll lose weight." No, "I will drop 2 pounds per week for the next 12 weeks, while tracking every workout and every meal." When you create milestones that are sharp and measurable, you take away the option to lie to yourself. You either hit the marker or you didn't. There's no gray area. The power of non-negotiables. Your milestones are contracts, not suggestions. They are promises written in blood, and promises broken here erode everything you're building. The world won't respect you if you don't respect your own word. Neither will your subconscious. Every time you set a milestone and fail to honor it, you chip away at your confidence, your momentum, and your ability to trust yourself. But when you keep those promises, when you hit those markers without excuses, you build something far more valuable than progress. You build proof, and proof becomes confidence. Stacking wins and building momentum. The beauty of milestones is that every small victory compounds. That first $1,000 earned feels like a spark. That first video posted gives you proof that you can create consistently. That first pound lost shows you that your system is working, and each win becomes fuel for the next. You stop operating from blind hope and start operating from undeniable evidence. I said I'd do it, and I did it. Now what's next? Momentum is built on proof, and milestones are how you manufacture that proof. One step, one win, one marker at a time. Review and adjust. Milestones aren't carved in stone. They're checkpoints, not prisons. If you hit a marker earlier than expected, adjust your timeline and push harder. If you fall behind, don't crumble. Analyze, adapt, and reset with a new plan. The goal is still the same, only the strategy shifts. A warrior doesn't cry when the battlefield changes. He adjusts his tactics and continues the mission until the flag is planted. The mindset of ruthless precision. Breaking your goal into milestones does more than create structure. It sharpens your focus and eliminates wasted motion. You stop asking, "What should I do today?" because the answer is already written. You stop drowning in distractions because every milestone serves as a compass, pointing you toward the summit. And here's the thing. When you start treating these markers as life or death, when you stop negotiating with your own excuses, the discipline you've been chasing stops feeling heavy. It becomes who you are. Example, the milestone method in action. Say your ultimate goal is to build a $100,000 business in 1 year. Milestone 1. Earn your first $1,000 in 30 days. Milestone 2. Hit $5,000 in revenue within 90 days. Milestone 3. Systemize your lead generation by month 4. Milestone 4. Break $50,000 by month 8. Milestone 5. Refine, scale, and cross $100,000 before month 12. Each milestone becomes a measurable checkpoint. Each checkpoint keeps you accountable, and each one removes the weight of someday and replaces it with undeniable progress. Breaking the journey into milestones is how you build discipline with precision. It keeps you grounded in the present, focused on what must be done now, while keeping your vision fixed on the horizon. Define them, commit to them, and hit them without mercy. Step 4. Engineer the daily system. Discipline doesn't live in bursts of motivation. It lives in systems. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And if your system is weak, inconsistent, or non-existent, it doesn't matter how badly you want something. You will collapse under the weight of your own inconsistency. Winners don't rely on willpower. They don't rely on feeling ready. They build structures so airtight that success becomes inevitable. Your daily system is that structure. It's the unbreakable framework that carries you from where you are to where you swore you'd be. Why systems matter more than motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It's firework energy, loud, bright, and gone in seconds. Systems are steel. They don't bend, they don't care about moods, and they don't depend on whether you feel like it or not. Think of your system as the battlefield routine of a soldier. Whether it's raining, whether he's tired, whether he's in pain, the mission gets done. No hesitation, no negotiation. If you're serious about your goals, your daily structure must become sacred. It must become so locked in that it feels unnatural to break it. Start with the end version of you. This is where most people fail. They try to design their day around the person they are now, not the person they're trying to become. Don't build your system from the bottom up. Build it from the top down. Start with the version of yourself that has already won. Ask yourself, what habits does the future version of me live by? What time does that version wake up? How does that version spend the first hour of the day? How does that version train, eat, and recover? How does that version work, execute, and plan? Then, drag those habits into your present. Live today like the version of you that already achieved everything you're chasing. This is how you collapse the gap between who you are and who you want to be. Anchor your day with non-negotiables. Every great system has anchors. Daily non-negotiables that never change. These are the pillars that hold your discipline in place. For example, a fixed wake-up time, no matter what. A mandatory training session, no matter how you feel. Dedicated time for deep work. Protected like your life depends on it. A nightly review of your progress. No skipping, no excuses. These anchors eliminate chaos. They tell your brain, this is what we do, every single day. Over time, they stop feeling forced and start becoming automatic. Eliminate decision fatigue. Here's a brutal truth. Every time you give yourself the option to choose, you give yourself the option to quit. Your system should remove decision-making. Pre-decide your meals. Pre-decide your training schedule. Pre-decide your work hours. Automate as much as possible so that execution doesn't require thought, only action. The fewer decisions you have to make, the more energy you'll have for the battles that actually matter. Step 5. Track relentlessly. Execution without tracking is chaos. It's motion without meaning. It's swinging a sword in the dark, blind to whether you're hitting your target or just cutting through empty air. If you're serious about domination, in business, in fitness, in life, you need to track everything. Relentlessly, obsessively, like your future depends on it. Because it does. Winners don't guess. They don't feel like they're making progress. They know. They have hard data, cold evidence, undeniable proof of whether they're on course or drifting off the path. Tracking is what separates the ones who dream from the ones who deliver. Why tracking is non-negotiable. Here's a brutal truth. What you don't measure, you can't control. And what you don't control, you can't master. You want to build wealth? Track every dollar. Where it comes from, where it goes, what it builds. You want to get lean? Track your calories, your workouts, your recovery. You want to grow your business? Track your calls, your conversions, your revenue, your profit margins. Without numbers, you're operating blind, and blind soldiers don't survive the battlefield. Data destroys. Delusion. Most people live in a fog of self-deception. They think they're working hard, but when you look at the data, they're coasting. They think they're consistent, but their results tell a different story. Tracking eliminates that fog. Numbers don't lie. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your excuses. They tell you exactly who you are, where you're winning, and where you're bleeding out. It's uncomfortable, and that's exactly why you need to do it. Build your tracking framework. Tracking isn't complicated. It's discipline made visible. Choose your metrics. What actually moves the needle? In business, revenue, leads, conversion rates, time invested. In fitness, calories, macros, strength progressions, rest, and recovery. In personal growth, hours of deep work, books studied, skills practiced. Log it daily, not weekly, not when you remember. Daily, no exceptions. Review weekly. Every Sunday, sit down and audit the numbers. What worked? What failed? Where did you fall short? Adjust ruthlessly. Refine. Cut what's not moving you forward. Double down on what is. This framework turns chaos into clarity, and clarity into power. Consistency creates compound growth. Tracking isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Small wins stacked daily become unstoppable momentum. Every rep logged, every sale recorded, every meal tracked. Over time, the patterns become undeniable. You see where your discipline is unshakable and where it's weak. And the beauty of data is this. Once you see the weakness, you can kill it, silencing the inner liar. We all have that voice, the one that whispers, "You're doing enough. You've earned a break. You've been working hard." Tracking shuts that voice down. There's no room for lies when the evidence is staring you in the face. When you see that you only trained 4 days last week instead of 7. When you see that your outreach was half of what you promised yourself. When you see that your calories were sloppy. You can't fake discipline when the numbers expose you. Tracking builds confidence. The world confuses confidence with arrogance. Real confidence is quiet. It's earned, and it's built by stacking proof, day after day, week after week, year after year. When you track relentlessly, you create an archive of proof. You don't have to hope you're progressing. You can see it. You can point to the data and say, "I earned this." That kind of confidence can't be shaken because it's rooted in reality. Example, tracking in action. Let's say your goal is to scale your online business to $10,000 per month. Metrics to track. Number of cold calls or emails sent daily. Conversion rates by platform. Revenue and profit margins per week. Hours spent on client work versus growth tasks. Daily log. End every day with a quick report. Inputs, outputs, lessons. Weekly audit. Look for patterns. Which actions produce the most leads? Where did you waste time? Adjust the plan immediately. Within weeks, your blind spots vanish. Within months, your system sharpens like a blade. The ruthless edge. Tracking relentlessly turns your life into a controlled experiment. Every action is measured. Every result is analyzed. Every failure is a lesson, not an excuse. This is how you build foresight. This is how you eliminate randomness. This is how you become lethal in your execution. When others drift, you adapt. When others guess, you know. When others crumble under the weight of uncertainty, you keep moving forward because the numbers never lie. Step 6, adapt without mercy. This is where most people break. They set their goal. They build the plan. They create their systems. They start tracking their progress. And then, life punches them in the mouth. The market shifts. The strategy stops working. Their progress stalls. And instead of adapting, they panic. They cling to their old plan like it's sacred, as if sheer stubbornness will bend reality in their favor. It never does. The world does not care about your plan. The battlefield changes every day. And the ones who survive, the ones who dominate, are not the ones who move fastest. They're the ones who adapt without hesitation, without emotion, and without mercy. The brutal truth about change. Every goal you set is going to demand a version of you that doesn't exist yet. That means constant evolution, constant recalibration, constant upgrading. If you think the path to the top is a straight line, you've already lost. Reality will test you. Your systems will get pressure tested. The things that worked at the beginning will eventually stop working. And when they do, you'll have two choices. Stay rigid, stay comfortable, die where you stand, adapt, evolve, keep moving forward, no matter what it costs. Detach from your ego. Adaptation requires one thing above all else: ego death. Your ego will fight you. It will tell you, this is the way. Stick to it. Don't change. It will trick you into thinking flexibility is weakness, when in truth, it's the ultimate strength. Detach from your need to be right. Detach from the illusion that you've already figured it all out. Detach from the comfort of what you know. Winners don't marry their first strategy. They date it, test it, and discard it the second it stops delivering. The mission stays the same. The tactics are disposable. Audit, analyze, adapt. Every week, every month, you need to step back and audit. What's working? What's not? Where are you bleeding time, energy, or resources? What systems need to be eliminated, rebuilt, or doubled down on? When you find weakness, you don't ignore it. You don't negotiate with it. You cut it out like rot before it spreads. Adaptation is aggression. Understand this. Adapting isn't passive. It's not waiting around for life to hand you a better path. It's aggression. It's hunting for the next move, while everyone else is stuck in analysis paralysis. It's the predator scanning the battlefield, seeing the opportunity no one else sees, and striking with precision while everyone else hesitates. You don't adapt when it's convenient. You adapt because survival demands it. The feedback loop of greatness. Tracking creates the data. Adaptation uses it to sharpen the blade. Every decision you make, every adjustment you implement, creates a feedback loop. Execute. Measure. Adapt. Execute again. Over and over until failure becomes impossible. This is how you build foresight. This is how you start to anticipate the battlefield instead of just reacting to it. You move from defense to offense. You stop waiting for opportunity and start creating it. Detach from perfection. Perfection is a lie. It's paralysis dressed up as preparation. The world is too fast, too brutal, too unpredictable for perfect plans. The killers don't aim for perfection. They aim for progress. They make the best move available, learn from the result, and adjust again. Speed and precision. That's the formula. Every adjustment sharpens the system. Every iteration makes you more lethal. The power of ruthless adaptability. When you adapt without mercy, you become untouchable, because nothing can break you. No setback, no market crash, no betrayal, no sudden shift in the rules. You'll bend, but you won't break. You'll pivot faster, harder, and cleaner than anyone else in the room. That's the power of ruthless adaptability. It's what separates those who barely survive from those who dominate. Example: adaptation in action. Imagine you've been building an online business. Your organic growth stalls. The engagement that once came easily dries up. The weak panic. They complain. They wait for things to go back to normal. The disciplined adapt. They dig into the data. They identify the bottlenecks. They test new strategies, maybe short-form content, Maybe paid ads, maybe strategic partnerships. They don't stop moving until they find what works, and then they scale it without hesitation. The mission didn't change. The path did. That's the edge. Adaptation is the final edge. This final step completes the cycle. You've defined the target. You've reverse engineered the path. You've built milestones. You've engineered the daily system. You've tracked relentlessly. Now, you adapt. And you keep adapting. Because the game never ends. The battlefield is always shifting. And only the ones who move with it, faster, sharper, and with zero hesitation, claim victory. Be that person. Be the one who bends, never breaks, and evolves so ruthlessly that the world has no choice but to keep up. This is where the excuses die. You've been given the map. 6 steps, no fluff, no theory, no empty promises. 6 steps that separate the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the finishers, the forgotten from the legendary. First, you define the exact target. No vague wishes, no blurry goals. Precision sharp enough to cut through your own doubt. Then you reverse engineer the outcome. Start at the end, trace the path back to where you stand, and make the impossible look inevitable. Next, you break it into non-negotiable milestones. Clear checkpoints that hold you accountable. Proof that you are either moving forward or rotting in place. Then you engineer the daily system. A structure so disciplined, so airtight, that success stops being a question of if and becomes a question of when. After that, you track relentlessly. Data, numbers, proof, no lies, no delusion. Just hard evidence that you are building what you said you would. And finally, you adapt without mercy. The world will shift. The battlefield will change. Your mission won't. You'll pivot faster, harder, cleaner, until the path bends to your will. This is the formula. This is the blueprint. But hear this clearly. A blueprint means nothing without execution. The world doesn't respect ideas. It doesn't care about intentions. It doesn't bow to talent or potential. It only bows to action. Every day, you're given 2 choices: to drift or to dominate, to hesitate or to execute, to stay who you are or to become the version of yourself you've been avoiding your entire life. The question is no longer if you know how. The question is whether you'll do it, whether you'll bleed for it, whether you'll pay the price in time, in effort, in discomfort, every single day, until you've built the life you swore you would. This isn't motivation. This is war. A war against the weaker version of yourself. A war that only ends when you've claimed everything you said you wanted. So, what happens now? You stop talking. You stop planning. You stop waiting for permission. You execute. You track. You adapt. You win. Because action, relentless, precise, unbreakable action, is the only language this world respects.